going to be showing you how to play Clayton. Now, Clayton does have a couple of different builds, mainly two different builds with a slight variation on one of them, but I'm going to be showing you his heavy build as his passive is off heavy weapons. I'm going to be showing you Reflect Shredder, Mulcher, Mastery, Heavy Capacity, Bait Armor, and Heavy Charger hits combo. We're going to be going into different questions like when to use your ultimate, what enemy should be prioritized, how aggressively should I play, ammo concerns in early waves, what are the best weapons to use with them, what cards should I equip, which will be done later, and how should I upgrade my perk. So to start off, with the ammo concerns in early waves, you're going to mostly be using your retro, especially if you're a fan of the torque bow, and if you're using his torque bow bleed, explosive build combo, or you're splitting it up and keeping the torque bow card on and matching that with the heavy build. So limit your torque bows, save your torque bows for high value targets. With a good team, if you're playing with a coordinated team with mics and you're in a party, that type of game, if you do run low on your retro and you're also low down to like 4 or less torque bow shots, just let your team know that you gotta die at the end of the wave to get more ammo. If you have an character like JD or Keegan on the team, somebody that would benefit from an explosive weapon, it is nice to offer them up your torque bow or offer Marcus up your retro on wave 1 and then go die at the end of the wave and go get your weapon or weapon. Best weapons to use with Clayton are heavy weapons, the torque bow if you have the torque bow card on. Personally, I like the torque bow drop shot combo, especially if using the explosive stun, and I also use the salvo for like on Swarmac waves or when there's Sentinels and Guardians. I'll pick that up, and when they get close I can stun them and put damage on them. I like the drop shot over the boom shot because it's very easy to fire from cover, especially if you're good with it, and you can stun enemies that are a problem approaching without actually leaving cover. The boom shot you have to go out of cover to use. When to use your ultimate, especially once you got your ultimate, if you are using heavy charger and you're constantly getting it, then you'll be using it a lot of times anytime that you get to basically 2-pointed or halfway dead. So if you're getting that right on your screen and it's anything less than just the slightest bit, or even if you're in the 40s and you get the slightest bit, you might want to pop your ultimate so you you're invincible for a few seconds and can kill the enemies that are shooting you, hopefully. Other great times to use it are when you're going for revive, so I want to get this revive way out there. I'll just wait till I take a little bit of damage. Now, granted, I basically took no damage right here, but if I did take damage, see how how red my screen was right there? That's a perfect time to go get the revive. And watch your ability as it runs down so you know when to get back into cover. Don't want to be out in the middle of the field when it runs out. The enemies you should be prioritizing as Clayton are pretty much high value targets. While in the beginning of the game you might want to simply just post up and take a corridor. But once you got your heavy weapons or you have a locker full of torque bows, if you're doing that setup in salvos, you're going to be pretty much focusing on high value targets. So Clayton can get a lot of doubles using his ability to. Just wait to that moment where you're going to take damage. Pop it. Even go grab a salvo out in midfield. See if I can make it back. Finally, you want to be on your way back before your ability ends. Once you got your ability up even higher with the duration, I'll get into what are the perks to buy with him in a moment. you can make even longer runs and take out several enemies along your way with your reflective bleeding, assuming that you're at level 16. And if you are, it is definitely one of the cards you're going to be running regardless of your build. So that is a strategy to get some extra money early. It's also great when you gotta go get that revive, get a couple doubles, get back. So onto his perks. I know a lot of people like the chain gun, buying the chain gun ammo, but you don't need it. Even if you're going for the Mulcher combo, all you really need is heavy ammo capacity and 3 different Mulchers in a locker, 1 to 2 to start, generally 2 in the beginning of the game is really good. What you actually want is damage and ability duration. You can mix in a little bit of health, but I would really go for the damage and the ability duration. You're already getting health back when you land heavy hits. Game wasn't so laggy, I can get the Savo. Okay, see right here? Perfect time to go get those revives. 3 down, 3 up. Clayton for the rescue. So on to how aggressively should I play. Now, Clayton can play fairly aggressively, especially after his abilities are up, depending on the difficulty. And he should be really going in with heavy weapons or popping torque bows and salvos, whatever you want, left and right. Once you have your ability and you're getting your ability up, he can very easily play aggressively. Go down to the front lines and completely lose the salvo and just have enough time to get back and get to the front line. Complete fail, but he is excellent to have in the front line, as he can very quickly get his health back up. So didn't get a Castro here, but see if we can take out the Guardian this time with the ability. Come here. See, Clayton in the front lines, while he can regen health, is really good as long as he's consistently putting shots in. Using your ability is also an excellent way to get another weapon from the weapons locker. See how quickly I just got my ability back? It is really sweet using the heavy charger. The nice thing about the Mulcher combo is the ability to get your ability back insanely fast. That is why a lot of people like this build and why I'm showing it off. It's also why it's about to be nerfed by 20%. As you can see here, 2 Mulchers on a level 4 locker. Unless you're firing with Marcus and you're going insanely in on your ammo, you don't really need the chain gun. Maybe in the beginning a little bit, but if your heavy capacity is at like 5 or 6, once you do get to that point, then you wouldn't be needing the perk. You just need to, and if your perk or your card level is low, all you really need is 3 Mulchers instead of 2. So that's why I do advise against getting the perk and just getting an additional Mulcher. It is much cheaper, and you can invest in your damage to get your ability back faster, your damage cooldown to have your ability last longer. And I don't think you need help, but you can put in a little bit into that late game if you have nothing else to do. I would put that into over ammo regen for sure. So how aggressively should you play? As you've seen in a couple of the clips right there, I just showed you. Highly aggressively. You should be playing as aggressively as you can without going down, especially using the Mulcher setup or heavy weapons in general. What you want to do is focus, as I said, on high value targets. Granted, right now I'm not really showing that. Wave 1, but anything that you can put a lot of damage in and get health regain for a longer amount of time. Also on any waves that have non-executable enemy, well, like robots, don't need to be executed. Damage on them will destroy them. Then, if you are using the Mulcher, taking out those targets like an Oppressor or a Devastator or a Scion or a Pouncer, those type of targets, not drones that are going to go down, and because you're too far away, you got the down and you didn't get the kill. Going for the enemies that can be instantly killed with the Mulcher are much better to pick versus ones that are going to go down and may be picked up. Try to time when you shoot with the Mulcher, so you immediately have the target lined up and you're regaining health. If you don't think you can get a hit within the next about 1.0 seconds, get back into cover. Right now I'm completely red. I will use my ability and bleed out targets as I kill. So I know I mentioned the abilities, damage, and cooldown. As you can see how effective that has been working for me. Did not mention that I do like to split them 1 and 1. I feel that they're both about equally useful. So generally I'll split them 1 and 1. See if we can get this stump to fire at us. If not, they're gonna die anyway. No fire. There you go, good night. Also, as you can see right there, it is an insanely powerful when you team up with Marcus. I'm trying not to do that just for how OP it is and show you basic strategies if you don't have a Marcus. But yeah, you can do so much damage when every shot is a hit. Another great thing about his ability is the ability to grab your Vulture when it goes over a ledge. Hopefully we can get a caster on this wave and a swarm mech on another wave that comes forward and shoots me with the machine guns. Show you just how good his reflective shredder is when it's maxed out. Now mine has been maxed out from Escape before I really even played him in Horde. I don't know how much damage, but didn't even get the extra. Sadly on this run did not get the Swarm Mech. I decided that I'm actually just going to quickly explain how to use his secondary explosive setup, as it's really simple. But first, I'm going to be going over the cards for beginner players, since this is more geared to players trying to play him better, not players that pretty much figured out everything under the sun for him. So, I'm going to start off with the freeze resist. I mean, you can equip this, but pretty much just pass right over it. Another card to pass right over it. This card is actually not a bad starting card to put on, especially when you get the Matriarch. You can be in charge of freezing it, Guardians and Sentinels. So this is a nice little opening starter card. Definitely, once you got the heavy capacity, be putting that on. Bait armor, add that. Phoenix armor, really not needed. It's more of an escape. This card as well, nice little opening card, can make your opening 5 at level 6 or 7. Completely skip over Soul Survivor, especially in Horde. They're the only one surviving. I mean, shouldn't be putting that card on. Headshot's Taunt, another card to pass over. You can also pass over Practice Every Day. Reflective Shell is a potential for your 5 at level 9. Team Resist is pretty good, especially when you're going and you're running out to pick people up when you use your ability. So this is a nice little ability card to use. Put it on and activate your ability right as you're picking up the person, or as you start to get red, as I said in the video, as I showed you how red I was on that screen. If you get to that point and you know you're about to potentially take a one-shot that can down you, then pop your ability, get them up, and they're basically not really invincible, but they have a lot more damage reduction to go get back into cover. Concussive explosives I'll get into if you're not running the Mulcher setup and you're running the Torque Bow and Salvo. This is a potential card. Can stun lock the Swarm Mech when it comes up close. A little hard to get the Kestrel. With the 15 meters, it's not as good as a card as it used to be. It's more good for when your base is overrun, but if you are using the Torque Bow drop shot or Torque Bow boom shot, and salvo combo, then you are generally playing in the back and you're playing safety as well as offense. So when things start getting up close, then you'll be switching over to the salvo and stun locking and killing as much as possible. So that is a good card and a needed card for that setup. Ultimate Battery is a potential swap out for the Mulcher setup instead of running the heavy hitter or dropping. I'll show you in a minute, but I'll get into that card. It's really not an optimal, but there is apparently a bug with it where I have yet to test this, but apparently I've been told from somebody that I trust that as of like two updates ago, he said that when you inflict damage, you're also reducing nearby allies' cooldown, so that could actually be really beast if that works. Not really sure on that. Vulture Mastery for if you are doing the Mulcher setup like I did in that game. Heavy Charger, which is going to be nerfed to 0.014 shortly, but it does speed up your ultimate, especially with the Mulcher. It's not that useful for the other ones, but with the Mulcher it's pretty useful. Heavy Deflect, you're going to completely skip over that. Epic Score Boost, skipping over all this till you get to Reflect Shredder and the Rated Edge. And now I will get into best build setups real quick. So for a high end, as I already showed you, for the low end, what are the better cards to start equipping and dropping? Well, you're going to see what to drop from the optimal setups. So for your Mulcher, you want Reflect Shredder, Mulcher Mastery, Bait Armor to help you stay up, Heavy Capacity, and either Heavy Charger. I like Heavy Charger, but if that does work, as my friend said, then Ultimate Battery would be a potential fifth, depended where you're posted up. If you have allies next to you, like a Marcus next to you, you can give him his Living Legend back, especially after he gets nerfed for the first few waves until he can get it going. Or you got a JD and you can just give him back his Death from Above, or you got Keegan, you keep giving his back. Then there are some characters where the Ultimate Battery, if you post up with them, and it does work like that, that could be useful. Since I'm not sure, I'm just going to continue on. So your other 5 setup would be Reflect Shredder, the Rated Edge, Bait Armor, Heavy Capacity, and Concussive Explosives. And that's mainly using, as I said, the Torque-Bow Boom Shot, Torque-Bow Drop Shot, and Salvo. Granted, until you get your salvos, you're just going to be using whatever weapons that you can get, whatever heavy weapons. Still be using the heavy weapons. And you might eventually have to buy 2 salvos. It is a more expensive setup, but a lot of times you get the Sentinels and you're pretty much assuredly going to get a DB wave. This question is how early. So it is an alternative way. And just to go on to how you could play the Torque Bow Salvo and Drop Shot or Boom Shot combo, like I said, you're pretty much playing reserved and safety. Since you have the stun lock on, when you stun lock things with the Drop Shot or the Salvo or the Torque Bow, you're pretty much trying to stay within 15 meters in the base and covering any enemies that are walking up to your primary frontline barrier. Comes up any boss like the Snatcher that jumps up, try to stun lock those things with a salvo. Just fire one shot, know your timing of when the stun lock is going to end, and time your next shot to stun it again, and you can stun lock the boss. So that is Clayton, everything I can think of. If you have any questions, any difficulty, just let me know, and I will answer them. I hope that helps.